EU leaders have praised the passage of a new €50 billion support package for Ukraine. European Council President Charles Michel said the four-year deal would ensure long-term predictable funding for Ukraine, and Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban finally dropped weeks of opposition. Ukraine has faced increasing uncertainty over aid funding because of political infighting in the EU and the US.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, once again in the spotlight in Brussels. Would he again block a new aid package for Ukraine, as he did last December? He did not.
We got the 27 heads of state and government to reach political agreement which will allow us to mobilize 50 extra billion euros as part of the Ukraine facility.
The package is intended to help Ukraine close budget gaps and pay salaries and services in the years 2024 to 2027. The relief at reaching the necessary unanimity is palpable.
This is, of course, a good message for the citizens of Ukraine who are so challenged by the Russian war of aggression, but of course also for us as the European Union, which has shown that it can stand together.
The EU is withholding funding from Hungary because of concerns about the rule of law. Hungary has blocked EU decisions on several issues. Some EU leaders made clear what they think of Viktor Orban's tactics.
There's no problem with so-called, Ukraine fatigue, for sure. We have Orban fatigue now here in Brussels. We have so many things to solve.
I don't want to use the word blackmail, but I don't know another better word.
Hungary itself rejects these accusations. In return for Orban's concession, EU leaders have agreed to remain flexible when it comes to paying out the new aid to Ukraine. The big question now is, will Viktor Orban's change of heart be permanent?
Well, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told leaders that Ukraine deserves their support.
We all know that Ukraine is fighting for us, so we will support them with the necessary funding and provide them with the much-needed predictability they deserve. And I think these 50 billion euros for 4 years also send a very strong message to Putin, just ahead of the second anniversary of his brutal invasion.
Yevheniia Kravchuk is a member of the Ukrainian Parliament and speaks for President Zelensky's Servant of the People party. Welcome to DW. How important is this €50 billion aid package for your country?
Well, it's crucially important, and it comes in the right time. But I think it's not less important for European Union than it is for Ukraine, because security of Ukraine and stable conditions of Ukraine means security for European Union. And I think the signs of unity, these very strong signals that we saw today from the European Council and from all member states is very important, especially now, 2 years after the full-scale invasion.
So what will this is €50 billion over 4 years. What will it be used for?
Well, basically, it will be used for Ukrainian budget, for stabilizing. Most of it will go as the source of payment for teachers, for example, for doctors. So all of these very important systems will be stable. But also part of this money will be used as sort of security insurance money for foreign investments, because as you know, we have even new enterprises being opened in Ukraine, especially in the field of the security production, the production of weapons and shells. So basically, it means the more stable finance and better planning for us, for Ukraine in this 4 years term. And of course, I think it's a very clear signal over the Atlantics to our friends and colleagues in the United States.
Right, and we will come to that in due course. This deal, of course, was held up for a couple of months by the objections of the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. What do you think was behind his veto of this aid for your country?
Well, I guess it's more people in Brussels can say what was behind and what Prime Minister of Hungary was trying to receive from European Union. But from our side, from Ukrainian side, we tried to have our relations with Hungary as normal as possible, and we passed the legislation about the national minorities, and we just welcomed the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Hungary to Uzhhorod, to city, to the region of Ukraine where the ethnic Hungarians completely live. And I think it's very important that this decision that was taken today by European Council was not either vetoed by Orban, but also he stayed in the room. So he didn't drink coffee when it happened during the summit in December, because I think it's also this signal that actually all member states share the values and share the responsibility and understanding what is on stake.
OK, let's talk about what's going on the battlefield. Your country's highly anticipated counteroffensive has had only limited results so far. I've been looking at a recent interview with your Commander-in-Chief, General Valery Zelensky, and he's laid part of the blame for this apparent stalemate on what he called the weakness of the international sanctions regime. Do you share this view?
Well, I can explain what our Commander-in-Chief meant about sanctions regime. I mean, we're being bombed by Russian missiles, and when we open these missiles, we can find different parts, microchips from different countries, from United States, from Great Britain, from Switzerland, from countries in European Union, meaning that there are still ways that Russia is getting those needed microchips, because they cannot produce everything by on their own. But also, I think that the next step in this, like 4 years plan, for example, should be taken in the terms of financing the military assistance from European Union as an entity. And President Zelensky, when he was addressing leaders, he said that it would be good to have a tool inside of the European Peace Fund that actually, is created for the military support,
right.
For example, for 4 years.
OK. In the same interview, General Zelensky was also critical of a lack of a general call-up in Ukraine. With this war now apparently frozen, is it time for a general mobilization?
We are in general mobilization since day one of the full-scale invasion. But of course, some of the instruments should be modernized. We have to review all the categories, and we're about to do that. Actually, on the nearest sitting of the Parliament, we will be voting in the first reading so-called mobilization legislation, but also it will give the possibility to those troops, to those soldiers that are from day one, to understand when they can demobilize.
Right.
And for these, new troops have to step in.
So it's under active consideration. The longer this stalemate continues,
exactly.
People outside the country certainly will look at this and think, well, as long as it's stuck like this, it looks like some sort of deal with Russia becomes inevitable. How would you respond to that?
I would respond as, most of the people inside of the country. They understand that any so-called negotiations with Russia will mean that it will not be respected, the rules-based order and our borders. It means we have to forget about millions of people on the occupied territories. And it will not guarantee that Russia will not wait for a few more years, produce more missiles, mobilize more people, and come back. Because in 2014, when the annexation of Crimea happened, the world said, don't fight, and it will be over. And now we are in 2022, 2024, in a full-scale war with Russia, and actually Russia threatening the whole European continent.
To the best of your knowledge, has President Zelensky or indeed anyone else in the senior Ukrainian leadership, have any of them come under pressure internationally to do a deal?
Not that I know of, and it never came public. It's the decision of Ukraine. But of course, we have to be sure that European capacities of producing the shelling will be increased, because actually, for example, with these 1 million shells, we're behind. We will not get them by March as it was promised, and we see that North Korea and Iran are helping Russia and are helping, very fast. The democratic world should mobilize and should show leadership in this and increase the military production.
That's very clear. What do you make of these reports of a rift between Ukraine's commander-in-chief and your president?
Well, I would not comment more than it was just a few days ago, that these rumors, they do not have, any official ground. But of course, the only person by Ukrainian constitution to decide who will be or who is commander-in-chief is President Zelensky, and he's bearing the responsibility, and he has all the needed information because he gets reports from all of the entities of all units that are in the field of defense. But so far, no official changes, no official information is. I don't see it from the president's office.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Ukrainian lawmaker Yevheniia Kravchuk from President Zelensky's Servant of the People Party.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.